Deep Silver, you fucked up big time. What is going on, everybody? I'm Gamer Geek, and I'm here with another video. Now, yesterday, Deep Silver released a trailer about what we can expect to see in their showcase in August. And one of the games in the trailer was the Saints Row Reboot. Now, Saints Row, it's one of my favorite game series, and I figured that this would be the perfect time to talk about the reboot, my opinions on it, and whether I think it's going to be successful or not. So sit back, enjoy this video, but before you do, if you could do me one favor, like really, it's just one tiny favor, just like and subscribe. Well, I guess that would be two favors, not one. We'll say it's two for the price of one, right? So sit back and enjoy this video. Looking at the gameplay of this game, one thought immediately jumps into my head, and this is Saints Row Reboot is going to be another Watch Dogs 2 situation. Watch Dogs 2 turned this group of badasses known as DedSec, these badass hackers, pretty much into a group of hipster pushies that were focused on social justice issues, and it kind of completely wrecked the game. All you gotta do is look at reviews of Watch Dogs 2, and you can see that this was the main problem a lot of people had. That these hipster characters were bland, they were uninterested, and they just wasn't a fun game to play. And I fear that this is the route that the new Saints Row game is going to take. I mean, all you gotta do is look at the trailer, and you'll see that these characters are fucking hipsters. Even just look at the gameplay I'm showing now. In the trailer, one of these bumpers are, I think they're supposed to be like Johnny Gat, but more hipstery. Like fucking, he doesn't wear a shirt, nothing, which isn't like Gat, but I don't know. And he seems like a complete kind of douchebag type character, and it just screams hipster all over. Whether it was the way they look, these cheesy fucking one-liners that they have, or not really one-liners, let me just say cheesy lines that they have, it just looks like it's not going to be a Saints Row game from the looks of it. The Saints Row games always had this hint of silliness to them. There were parts in the games where they didn't really take themselves seriously, and this was fine. We've seen this happen more in Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, especially in fucking Saints Row 4. That whole game was just, you know, a silly mess. But that was okay. But this game looks that it's going to be not silly, but goofy. Now, what do I mean when I say goofy? When I say goofy, I don't mean in a good way. I don't mean in that Borderlands type style type of way, but I mean in an Agents of Mayhem type way, where it looks like it's going to be a shit game. When I heard that this game was getting rebooted, I was excited. I've been a fan forever. I'm probably a fan since I shouldn't have been a fan because I was a little too young at the time to play in the games, but I loved it. And when I heard they were doing this reboot, I thought that this would be a perfect time to go back to their roots. That we were going to get more of a Saints Row 2 type style game. I was so excited for it. But hey, looks like that's not going to happen. If I had to rank the games in the Saints Row series, Saints Row 2 would easily be at the top, with Saints Row 4 being at the bottom. I say this because I'm not a big fan of Saints Row 4. I think Saints Row 4 should have stayed as the expansion it was meant to be. For those that don't know, Saints Row 4 was supposed to be an expansion on Saints Row the Third, or a DLC expansion, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's the way it should have stayed. It should not have been made into its own game. But it did. In the earlier installments of Saints Row, we see that this game was more serious than the later two games. Saints Row games were always able to add the serious element to them. In the first two games, it was more about this gang rising up through the ranks to pretty much take control of Stillwater. And it made for some awesome storytelling. In Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, we kind of see them move away from the serious element. And a part of this reason why is because they were trying to separate them from GTA. Now, Saints Row has always had this rap of being GTA clone, especially the first two games, which is why I think they went ahead and made this move, but it was also very disappointing. Because of the seriousness they wrote into the games and made for some really memorable moments in the second game. For instance, two of these moments that I always think about when I think about this game takes place in two missions. One of them was called Bleeding Out, which had Aisha dying, which was an amazing moment because we seen a side of Johnny Gat that we don't really get to see. And the other one was called Rest in Peace, and that was at Aisha's funeral when a rival gang leader's son ends up attacking it, and it was the only moment, I believe, in the games that Gat actually ever offered mercy to anyone, and it was really interesting to see him as a human rather than this badass character who cared only about killing. And the reason why these moments are memorable is because of the seriousness of them. Like I said before, it was a staple. In order to have good writing, in order to make a good game, you have to have some element of seriousness to them. Even in some of the goofiest games out there, like fucking Borderlands, they're still able to create these memorable moments, but it's something that games like Watch Dogs 2 just don't have. I think this game is going to be goofy as hell. Now, when I use this term, goofy, I'm using it to describe the game, not as a game like Borderlands or a game that actually has humor in it, rather than a game that's going to try too hard to insert humor in it to disguise itself as a good game. And this is not going to work out, and I think people are already seeing through it for what the game is going to be, which is this hipster pile of garbage. Now, I might say that the game looks woke. It kind of does look like it's going to be woke just because it involves hipsters. But I think right now it's too early to make that solid assumption that it will be woke, even though I may have in this video earlier, which might be kind of hypocritical of me to say. But, it's just my opinion on it. That's really all it is. When I think of this game, I think that's going to be an Ages of Mayhem type failure. I mean, the enemies look like these huge bullet sponges, and the combat doesn't even really look that fun. And it's sad to say this, but I think this is what's going to be the final nail in the coffin of the Saints Row franchise. In the footage of the gameplay, we are given a little bit information about these saints, about how they kind of came together to form this new gang. And that was they were all part of old gangs. They were all part of these old gangs. They're gangs that are in this game, and I guess they decided to leave for one reason or another and form their own gang, which it's a very lazy way to do an origin story. But that's all I'm going to say about that. When this game was first announced to be in development, there was a leak that came out. It suggested that this new game would be about a new generation of saints trying to take out the old ones, as the old ones have become corrupt. I was all for this idea. I was really excited for this idea. I couldn't rate for the conflicting feelings I would have had when we would kill the characters that we grew up with, or that maybe you didn't grow up with, but that you played with, such as Shawnee, the boss, Pierce, Gat. I was all excited for this, and I thought that it was a great premise. But hey, came out that this leak wasn't true, and this was very early in the developmental stages of Saints Row. And I think it would have been early enough for the story to change into a game that kind of involved that. A lot of fans loved this idea, and just look at what the fans are saying now about the game. Even though we don't know a lot about the story, it's clear that this game isn't really going to be any good. I have been a fan of this game since I was a kid. I remember playing Saints Row 2 when I was probably about 11 or 12, and maybe probably even younger than that. It was at an age where I really shouldn't have played the game. And it pisses me off at the direction that they're taken with this new Saints Row reboot. I mean, it looks like absolute garbage. It's like they fucking spit at everything the previous games in the franchise were. Like, if you want to do a reboot, do it fucking right. A lot of people are saying that this game looks like it's not even a Saints War game, and I've got to agree with that. They're saying that It looks like that Deep Silver was in the stages of developing another game and just decided to slap the Saints Row logo on this game. And that's it. And I've got to agree with it. It's a travesty what they are doing with this from the looks of it. Like I said, it looks like that's going to be Watch Dogs 2. And when I say that, I don't mean that it's going to have the same outcome as it. I mean, it literally looks like Watch Dogs 2 to me. From the combat, and it's just... Man, Deep Silver, you fucked up big time. That's it. Unless you pull something amazing out of your ass at the showcase in August about this game, it's not going to sell well, because longtime fans of the franchise, such as me, aren't going to buy that game. I'd rather buy the game secondhand, because I don't know if I'm going to like the game or not. Now, don't even get me started about how these Saints look. I mean, they're hipsters. They're fucking hipsters. They look like they should be in a fucking Starbucks waiting to get an overpriced coffee rather than being actual gangsters. I mean, at least in the previous Saints Row games, that even when the Saints became millionaires, they still acted like gangsters, not like a bunch of fucking college kids. And isn't that the whole point of a gangster game, to play a gangster, not this fucking hipster type character? I mean, oh, I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most, and it's the thing that makes me think that this game is going to be absolute dog shit, is the way the characters are designed. The disappointment I felt watching the trailer and watching the gameplay, I can't even describe it. I honestly can't. I was just so disappointed with what the game looks like it's going to be. This game could have been great, but it kind of looks like it's going in the exact opposite direction. It looks like that it's going to be going in the direction of Agents of Mayhem. This game isn't going to sell well. It's going to do absolutely horrible in sales. More than likely, we're going to be able to catch it in a bargain bin just a couple of months after it releases. And I don't know. A new Saints Row game had so much potential. I mean, it just did, and I don't know how you can go so wrong with a game like they're going with the Saints Row Reboot. Like I said, not a lot is known about the story in that, but I mean, the gameplay, it just looks absolutely horrible. Like, the enemies are these huge bullet sponges, and it just doesn't look like a fun game. The only good thing that I did like about the gameplay is the graphics, but I'm the type of person where if you want to have a good game, you at least have to have a mediocre story. As long as the gameplay is fun, if you have mediocre story, I'd say, you know, that'd make a good game, like a 6 out of 10 game. But it's, I don't know, I just don't think this is going to be a good game. The gameplay doesn't look like it's going to be fun. It looks like some bullet sponge bullshit, and I think that is where the fans are going to have the most criticism of the game. I honestly do not know what Deep Silver was thinking with making this game. I mean, everyone knows about the backlash that Watch Dogs 2 got, and I just don't see how Deep Silver could think that going in the same direction with their game was going to be a good thing. Most gamers, when it comes to wokeness, when it comes to hipster shit and all that stuff, don't like it. At least when it comes to their video games. I'm one of those people. I don't like that shit. That doesn't make for fun characters. It makes for these boring, bland characters that we see in Watch Dogs 2. And I think that this is going to be exactly the same case. I've said it before in this video, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's true, which is why I'm restating this. I'm going to say fact, is that this game, it's going to be Watch Dogs 2, man. Like, it's all over. I'm surprised they don't add fucking hacking in it, right? I think that it's going to be this game that's going to insert politics in it. I think that's going to insert social justice issues into it, which really doesn't fit in with a gangster game. And, you know, it's just a disappointment, I feel. It's just unreal. It's unless they pull something amazing out of their asses in August. Like you said before, this game isn't going to do well. And it's a shitty thing to say, but you know, it's just the truth. Anyways, I'm Gamer Geek. This shit is just my opinion. You might disagree. You might agree. If you watch this long, if you'd like, subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Peace out.